Exorcism, or the rite of exorcism, has been and remains one of the most controversial religious practices for centuries. Despite modern skepticism and a scientific approach to explaining many phenomena, cases of exorcism continue to occur today. And one of the most famous cases of this phenomenon occurred in Sweden with 14-year-old Anna Eklund back in 1892. Anna was born into a Catholic family, and until she was 14, everything was fine. She attended church and helped her family. But at some point, she developed an aversion to church things. She could not drink holy water or even take anything in her hands. It got to the point that attending church became impossible. As Anna said, something was holding her on the threshold and not allowing her to enter. The girl was shocked by what was happening to her. She constantly prayed, but nothing helped. Anna's parents called a priest to help their daughter, who turned out to be an experienced Father Theophilus Risinger. It took several years and 20 assistants to help the girl, but eventually the demons left Anna, but that was only the beginning. Until the age of 46, Anna lived a quiet life, again visiting church, and became even closer to God after everything that happened to her. But what she feared most returned. Like last time, she could not attend church and touch sacred things, plus strange voices were added to this, prompting her to do terrible things. In despair, she turned to priest Theophilus Risinger. After examining the priest, he realized that the same demon he had cast out earlier had returned, but not alone. There were 7 more demons with him, which made the exorcism rite almost impossible. But why did the demons return? According to rumors among the townspeople, Anna's father and aunt practiced black magic and fed her cursed food, which made her possessed. The priests also blamed Anna's relatives for this. But Anna didn't care how it happened. She wanted to get well soon, because the voices haunted her at every step. Father Theophilus took Anna to an old monastery where the Franciscan sisters served, and he also took his friend, the priest Joseph, with him. Upon arrival, the sisters wanted to feed Anna, but she refused both food and holy water. The first session of the rite began the next day. Anna was tightly tied to an iron bed in advance to prevent any tricks. From his experience, the priest assumed that she would try to attack the participants of the rite. Therefore, in addition to strong knots, the strongest sisters were next to him, ready to help at any moment. And yet nothing prepared the priests for what happened next. While they were saying the prescribed prayers at the beginning, Anna fell into a deep sleep with her eyes incredibly tightly closed. But when they began the formal exorcism, she leaped into the air, broke her bonds, and clung to the wall above the door of the room. Only Theophilus seemed unperturbed. The sisters pulled Anna away from the wall and laid her on the bed, holding her down as she let out inhuman screams that continued until the end of the session, on August 26th. Over the next 2 sessions, from September 13th to 20th and December 15th to 23rd, Anna Eklund's condition worsened. Although she ate even less than before the exorcism, she regularly vomited during the rites. At the same time, the demons inside Anna began to physically change and distort her body. Her head swelled and elongated, and her face became so disfigured that few recognized the humble woman who had arrived at the convent. Anna Eklund's exorcism left her a pale, death-like figure. Her body was emaciated and her eyes glowed like red coals. Over time, the demons became even more powerful. Anna began defecating incredible amounts of feces and urine. And this was all on top of the vomit that seemed to come from hell itself. Every time the father recited the Latin blessings, Anna foamed at the mouth. At one point, her body even doubled in size, causing the sisters in the room to shudder in fear that the woman would burst. Anna also began speaking in languages she had never heard before. She began listing the childhood sins of the nuns and the priest. After this, the sisters began begging her to leave their home and go to a less hectic monastery. Risinger did not blame them for this, as Anna's transformation continued. By the final session, she exuded an inhuman smell of rot. Swarms of flies appeared and disappeared around her. At times, it seemed as if her body was turning to stone. Especially the stomach and limbs, they pressed on the wrought iron bed frame with such weight that it sagged. Before this, Anna's soft voice often turned into a guttural growl, capable of producing impossible sounds. Even when she slept, the creatures came to the surface. They whispered without moving the woman's lips, blasphemed God, and verbally attacked anyone who was in the room with her. Risinger did not give up hope of bringing Anna to her senses. When Anna was directly asked about the spirits inside her, she listed several at once. In this list, Beelzebub, the Lord of the Flies and the Prince of Demons according to the New Testament, was their leader. It was then that the reason for her possession began to be revealed. The demons inside Anna began to tell that she was possessed by order of her father Jacob and Aunt Mina. And Lucifer himself helped them in this. According to them, the first exorcism failed because they continued to poison her food with cursed spices. Jacob and Mina were themselves cursed and were trying to transfer their sins into Anna's body. It turned out that Jacob had abused Anna as a child, and Aunt Mina had had 4 abortions. All this was told by a demon posing as Judas Iscariot. When asked what business they had with Anna Eklund, he finally answered, to drive her to despair, so that she would commit suicide and hang herself. With the demons identified, the work of exorcising them became easier. On December 23, 1928, it was all over. However, by this time the priests themselves were already exhausted. Risinger in particular looked as if he had aged 20 years in just a few days. However, before the end, they experienced the most terrible nightmare. To this day, this is the only case of exorcism in which the exorcists had a vision of the forces of hell. In the last half hour of the last day of the rite, both reverends saw a crowned Lucifer and a hairy Beelzebub appear in the corner of the room. Although they were confined to this space by God himself, they were seething with rage that the holy law forbade them to harm anyone present. The room itself filled with bitter flames. At that moment, the possessed Anna Eklund sat up straight on her bed and collapsed, screaming at the top of her lungs, "Beelzebub, Judas, Jacob, Mina. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it!" Then an unearthly stench spread through the room, and Anna opened her eyes. And then, for the first time in many months, she spoke in a clear voice, "My Jesus, have mercy. Praise be to Jesus Christ." After 23 days of combined ritual sessions, the exorcism was over and the demons were returned to hell. You may ask, was this real? There are reasons to believe that this was not possession, but illness, poisoning, or hallucinations. But the fact that church representatives saw all this with their own eyes and this story was published in the local newspaper suggests that no one was going to make a show out of this whole thing.